Tara. So I want to talk about two phrases I use a lot in session that tend to give people a lot of understanding, but a lot of soothing about what their experience is with some uncomfortable symptoms if they've come because suddenly they have sensation of anxiety or depression or racing intrusive thoughts. They come in and they're expecting to talk about it, and we don't really start by talking about it. Talking about what's going on for you causes a lot of activation, and the job of what I do in session is really to regulate the nervous system. So while the story and what's going on for you is really important, we need to get to it in a different way that is less overwhelming, doesn't cause a ton of activation, and in the long run can create resiliency. And so a lot of what we do in session is mind-body connected, because every thought and feeling you have has a corresponding physiological, physical sensation. So we're connecting those all the time. It's how you build new neural connections, especially around resource. We have lots of neural connections around activation and trauma and anxiety in our lives. We don't want to create more of those, because every time you talk about it, you light it up in your brain, you fire it up, and then it wires together. And every time you do it, it wires it a little deeper. So we're trying to untangle that, create more firing and wiring in the range of resiliency and resource and health. A lot of that includes initiating a parasympathetic response. So those are the brakes in your nervous system. They help slow things down, get you more grounded, and we bring you to a lower, calmer baseline. So this is the place where you're able to function flexibly in your life and not experience such erratic emotions and thoughts. But when people come, especially in the early stages of sessions, they don't understand why they're experiencing the symptoms that they're experiencing, because typically up to that point, they might have had really big events happen in their lives, but they've functioned so well through them. Then there's one small thing that happens and all of a sudden they feel out of control. So a great amount of soothing can actually just come from some basic psychoeducation about the nervous system. Sometimes it's not you, it's your nervous system. And what we mean by that is the nervous system always wins. The nervous system is your mind and body connected, but what trumps your thoughts and your feelings, your thinking, and your emotional brain is your survival brain, and we call it the reptilian brain, because its only job is to keep you alive. So it actually gets all the stimulation and information about your environment internally and externally first, and then it causes a neurochemical reaction that will initiate fight, flight, or freeze to keep you alive if that's what it has deemed the most appropriate course of action. But it can also increase this sense of vigilance and awareness and anxiety. And so it's kind of like the nervous system's gone awry, given the society and the pace of life that we live in and the culture that we live in. We are way out of balance. So that fight, flight, and freeze mechanism is a little unhinged. It's not under control. So you're getting symptoms that you don't understand. And a lot of people feel guilt or shame or fear or just disappointment, and they focus so much on the thoughts and the feelings that they actually create more activation around it. And in the work that we do with self-regulation therapy, we're not focusing on the symptoms. We're really focusing on the root, and the root is a dysregulated nervous system. We regulate the nervous system. Those rampant thoughts, those erratic emotions, they go away on their own. And so it's a different approach that really looks at how we are biological animals in addition to advanced thinking and feeling creatures. But you can't believe every emotion that you have and every thought that you have, because they're getting information from a whole bunch of different sources, and they might be your reality in that moment, but they might not be the full, truest picture of what's going on in your life. So when people understand how their nervous system functions, how it can just be activation, how you can be stuck in activation from your animal brain, the animal brain that trumps all other systems, that informs all other systems, there's a whole bunch of settling that will happen in session, because people understand it's not them. It's their nervous system, and this is how we're going to work with it, and then those symptoms are going to go away so that they're reassured it's not a deficiency that they're not able to cope. It really is about their nervous system and some education on how their nervous system is functioning and the health of their nervous system. So we work with that a lot in early sessions. It creates a great amount of containment and soothing and calming just by understanding that this actually is explainable and quite normal, and we see it all the time. And there's also a pathway and a method to get through this quicker than you think, so that it's not a lifelong situation. It's about understanding how the nervous system functions, bringing balance into it, bringing regulation into it, so that you can increase your resiliency and have a healthier future life. So that's a lot to take in, but think about it. Next time you feel anxious, next time you feel raging thoughts like a hamster on a wheel in your head, it's just activation. Your nervous system is picking it up from inside or from outside. There's ways we can work on it. It's just activation. Depersonalize what your experience is. Don't believe everything you think. Don't believe everything you feel. Start untangling what's going on in your life in the context of what you're living in, and we can work together to bring balance and control back to you and your nervous system. So ask me any questions about this. I'd love to talk to you more about this. Until next time, I hope you're well.